Liam Norman healing update. Sunday, the 27th of July, 13 minutes to midnight. I'm walking on Beverley Road in Hull. I left Hull University after 11 p.m. I've been to Sainsbury's. The light you can see is Domino's Pizza. And I'm walking home to Wilton Street. I've completed my 2 major assignments. Major Project 1 and Major Project 2. One of the projects was to discuss the 3 modules that we learned during the Access to Higher Education Preparation Week, including the learning styles, the word processing, and the Industrial Environmental Awareness course. The other project was to research 3 universities and to make a report discussing the various location options and the courses they offer, or the course they offer, and then making a choice of which university you think will be suitable for you. So it's been an intense workload. And the heaviness of my trauma, my fight for justice, my healing path, my special needs, my what I believe to be autism. I'm still waiting on my autism or neurodiversity assessment. It's just so much to without the work, functioning each day cognitively and physically in life is a challenge. With the work, it's an extra challenge. But the positive of the challenge is that it's giving me a new focus, it's making me stronger, it's making me think, it's encouraging me to hold myself accountable. And I've had some conversations with myself, because when you're working, when you're handing in assignments, you can't really bullshit yourself. So I was thinking, I think before 10 p.m, possibly had 400 words for one of the major projects. And I was just thinking, well, this is only a preparation week. I'll just submit it, because something is better than nothing. But I didn't fail myself. I made sure that I had over 1,000 words and I'd met some of the criteria. I think both of my projects are okay entries when thinking about how far I've come to heal and fight for justice and return to education and to stay alive, taking into consideration all of the factors of being me in this new environment and this new chapter of my life. I think my assignments are okay. I'm still at 54.17% on Canvas. I looked earlier on Canvas and it said 52%, and then I looked again and it went back to 54%. The target is 70%. I'm not sure I'm going to get the 70% pass, but I've succeeded because I didn't drop off my course and I've completed my forms for registration and sent some documentation, and I'm with them. I'm ready to start my course. I'm present with them. They communicate with me and I communicate back. There was another assignment, reflection assignment. Notification was on my phone, or the information was on my phone. I think early hours yesterday morning. So I responded with what had been useful in the course and gave some feedback. And that was a healing experience because as an unlicensed, uncertified spiritual healer, a person who works with energy, it was so much energy for me to process. And I'm like a sponge, I take on so much, especially black matter, pain, and judgment. I take on so much energy that isn't mine. And it really wiped me out. And I was triggered, I think, Saturday morning, which I included in my response. I called Samaritans and received support. It was really helpful. Because a lot of my journey is switching between feeling like a king, a master of my own kingdom, a creator of my own reality. I can take on the world. Anything is possible in my life. I can change the world. I can create the most beautiful life. I can inspire others. And then the other side of the coin is just feeling like dirty, disgusting, defeated, broken, incapable, and unworthy. And a lot of my healing journey is keeping balance between not feeling like too overconfident and not feeling too weak. And when I do feel so weak and vulnerable, is to counsel myself to return to feeling confident and capable. It's hard to think about my trauma because of the pain of it, and also because of the satanic fact that a lot of it I can't remember due to the satanic mind control. And it exists in society, satanic ritual abuse and child sex slavery. However, it's such a taboo, painful, and I suppose dangerous subject, which spiritual understanding helps you remove the danger and be with things as they are without being overtaken by your emotions. But as standard, these types of trauma and fights for justice and healing, it's a very dangerous, very heavy, very niche. It's a horrible, icky, disgusting, dangerous, nasty trauma to deal with. And it seems easier for it to just live inside the victim without it being shared, because it's not a nice subject to talk about. That I was sold to adults as a kid so they could have sexual pleasure with me, or that my mum's brother was murdered and my mum was converted into a paedophile, and I suppose, forced to take the innocence of children to keep her life, to be part of a network. That I was forced to rape my girlfriend in my 20s, or the system was going to kill my little brother. That the network was so close to getting me to cross over into like taking my soul and I suppose becoming one of them. They did so many evil things to me. So it's just a lot to process. So the ball is back with the tutors now, with the college. I'm confident that they will mark my remaining assignments. I have to give my laptop back. I've made a note of the deadline date for returning the laptop. I can't remember what the date is at the moment, but I'll possibly return the laptop next week with the industrial awareness booklet. I need to just fill in a few answers from Unit 5, which I'd missed. So I went to university approximately tea time, arriving approximately 7 p.m, and I was lost in my patterns. I'm out of sync with regular living, and lots of spiritual teachers use the term in the world but not of it, and this is a term I can relate to. I'm in the world, but I'm more connected to my spiritual healing and spiritual journey as opposed to 3D living, but I still live in the 3D world. Just scratching my back a moment. Hopefully this doesn't psychologically mean any huge importance. And when the network forced me to rape my girlfriend, I think it was in 2010, during I think it was the Spanish World Cup. Obviously they took my manhood from me. They stole my manhood from me, but I also lost my manhood because it was me who raped my girlfriend, however terrified and pressured and mind controlled I was to do it. But they did it with the football because they know that football is part of being a man, just as it's part of being a boy. And to the best of my memory, after raping Rebecca, my mum, to stop them killing my little brother Miguel, my mum asked if Miguel could come out with me and my friends. She would use dismissive terms like to get him out of my hair for 5 minutes. And obviously my mum was just a satanic paedophile slave. I'm confident murderous slave for the network. So she'd lost all humanity, and I think sometimes she felt trapped by being forced to be a satanic paedophilic monster. But it's such a devastating thing that they do to another human being that they realize that they're just trapped. There's no way out. You know, she was converted into stealing children's innocence and abusing her children in the most monstrous manners to keep a satanic, murderous, paedophile network happy, with bodies buried under her decking, bodies buried under her mum's conservatory. Her brother was murdered for the network, and they just tortured me And I think how it was for my mum, I think she would have, like, it's either one or the other ultimatums, Carol, you know? Are you going to continue keeping this lid on this evil pain for us and hurting your children and letting them know that we're in charge and, I suppose, taking children's innocence? Or do you sort of want us to hurt you, kick the shit out of you and kill you? And I just think that's how evil it was. So I think she would have a list of things she had to do to me. To keep the satanic controllers of the network happy. And then in doing these, she would relieve her trauma. That would keep her safe in the satanic sense. And she would more than likely be rewarded with a child's innocence, destroying an innocent life to give her some temporary relief from her pain. And then she just pretends it doesn't happen. And everyone is none the wiser. And that's what Neil did. Owner of the First Choice Carpets and Vinyls on Hessel Road, formerly First Choice Carpets and Beds. So it's just an evil satanic network. I'm on a new phone and tablet at the moment, and I'm happy to be reconnected with phone calls, text messages and internet. My finances are stronger than they were last month, and I feel able to breathe. I obviously I don't have a lot of money, but I'm happy I have enough money for shopping, and I feel confident I'll make it to the next universal credit payment next month. Still sleeping on my mattress on my living room floor. I woke up in the early hours of the morning with severe pains in my chest. I felt like I was having a heart attack. And I've had these second skin sticky plasters on my skin to help my lesions. I found a remainder of, I think I found just less than half a plaster, and I cut it into approximately 4 different chunks, and there's like 2 on my chest and then 2 on my arm. But the pressure inside my body while I've been healing, this energy, it feels like an infection. It feels like it's horrible. It feels like a fucking disease. I feel like a disease with all of this pain. And the pressure, while the lesions are contained, I can feel the healing inside my body. So I woke up, I felt like I was having a heart attack. And then I just took the plasters off. I think they've been on for about 3 days, so there has been an improvement. Had a mouthful of water and a banana and just tried to recenter myself. But it was a really disorientating experience. So still sleeping on my mattress on my living room floor. I've been lost in autopilot with college work and focus and working with all of this intense emotional experience. So I haven't been. My neighbours are still an issue. I think there'll always be an issue in this address. But it's not been the worst 3 days for noise. I often make a noise when I first enter my flat just to let them know I'm in my flat. And I have my ear defenders on mostly. Listen to thunderstorms and rain on YouTube, and my body keeps a score audiobook on YouTube, on Audible. So I'll have the rain sounds on my tablet, the audiobook on Audible on my phone, and my ear defenders on, my neck cushion. Sometimes I'll have like my beads, my rosaries, or my malas, or like something to... A pacifier, I suppose, is a term for a child, but I think fidget toys, they're still a sort of pacifier, so I'll try to have something in my hand, or one of my... I found some candles which somebody had thrown out near the university, the battery candles, and they're nice to hold. So I just take care of myself, and I suppose I've been in an adult's body for a very long time, but I've also been like a screaming child for most of my life, internally, energetically, spiritually. That screaming child, just like born into death. I'm close to Welly nightclub, where that was a big part of my life when I was a teenager. I'm close to 135 Beverly Road, where I lived, rented it with Ideal Lets after the rape. Crossover. They've changed the colour, I think it was red. And I remember the code for the access, possibly it's still the same. But I lived in, not the one with the light on. You can't really see. I think I'm like a bad weatherman. I think I lived in this one, if the camera... Yeah. The one on the right of the door. But I think cameras are like reversed, aren't they, sometimes? And that's the flat. I mean, when I lived there, the window was broken, so you could just access the flat by the window. I'm not sure how this happened. This could have been from the network, because they do anything to make sure you're unsafe. But I lived in such a way where the chaos and being unsafe and partying with my friends and taking recreational drugs, and I was sort of contained in chaos. So the network couldn't get to me. And to the best of my memory and all my repressed memories, that's the flat where my main abuser, Uncle James, came with a knife to kill me. Unfortunately, my friend was there, and the knife was in his jacket. We didn't see the knife, but we saw his jacket. And I think when he left, we looked outside and we saw the knife on the floor, and we picked it up and we used it in the flat. We cleaned it, and I think we alchemized the experience. Like, obviously, me and my friend, we had our own chaos, and we found each other. We helped each other. I think we hate each other. And perhaps if we reconnect in the future, we might have to have some difficult conversations. But I think there was also love and respect there, and they saved me. And I didn't really realise they were saving me. I was just lost. Welly Club. So if this is released and you're watching this, maybe you could imagine that you were a child sex slave and a satanic ritual abuse survivor. You were forced to kill as a kid, and you were raped, and all these horrendous abuses. And then you're forced to rape your partner in your 20s to stop them killing your sibling. And your whole life is just death. Like getting you, mind controlling you to hurt your service users as a support worker, or the children in your family. It's just absolute death and destruction. And they control language. They control language, so they're very clever. I could get another energy drink, but I'm being sensible with my budgeting, and I've had 2 energy drinks today. I've got a vitamin drink, so I'll probably just have my vitamin drink and have an energy drink tomorrow. But they control language, and I think I was listening to my porridge audiobook. I couldn't go into the pub, into the Weatherspoons at the uni, because it just killed my senses. There was loads of England. I think it's the Euros at the moment, or the World Cup. This is how out of sync with. It's possibly World Cup or the Euros. Anyway, there's a tournament now. I think USA is the next tournament, but they take it from you. Obviously, I used to like watching the World Cup and the Euros with my friends from school in my 20s. But I was forced to rape Rebecca during, I think, the World Cup 2010 Spain. And then my mum asked if my little brother could come out with me and my friends. And she gave me one of his badges from an England top to make into my own England top. I made my own. So obviously I'd lost my manhood because they took my manhood from me and sort of in a sense given it to my little brother and didn't kill him because I'd raped and tortured my girlfriend and sent photos to them. And then they took football from me because obviously it's just a reminder, like, you're never going to want to watch football again. Like, I gave up on football when I was a school child because they just take everything from you. I think I wanted a boxing necklace or chain as a boy. I think you got them from Argos, possibly mentioned in a video. And I think after James anally raped me, he brought me a boxing necklace, a boxing chain with a smile. It's just satanic. They're in all of the music. They're in your life. They're in everything. And if they're back in your life as an adult to convert you or to have you commit suicide or to have you harm someone where you're battered or killed yourself or put back in jail, in prison, then it's just their job to take everything from you. They find out where you're working, where you're living, who you're associated with, who your friends are, what you're eating, who the people you're supporting are. And they find a way of taking absolutely everything from you. It's a complete demolition of another person. Obviously, I didn't kill my dad when I found him dead on his living room floor on 2016, but I felt responsible due to how involved the network were in my life and destroying my psyche and destroying my reality. And there's a possibility that if they didn't return with the onslaught, that my life and people who were in my life, ranging from family to friends to associates, there's a possibility that some people, including other people who I won't list, will still be here because intuitively I know that they're all over my life and my social media, and they look for people or victims who have issues, and they can see the quote-unquote demon or the pain body. They can see a person who is ready, or as they might satanically say, ripe. They can see a person who meets their requirements for destruction, who has pain bodies and neurosis and issues that they can manipulate and turn psychotic and hopefully make them kill themselves or harm someone else. They're really evil people. They're really evil people. When I was running the support groups in India, I reconnected with a former colleague from Manchester. Hi. And she was very toxic, and we exchanged some photos, and I suppose that was a good learning experience. And looking back, possibly she shared those photos with people and harmed me, and maybe my friends protected me in a way, again, where I didn't know that they'd helped. But my uncle was in my life at that time, and They were destroying my support groups and my Indian journey, and they gave me some chocolates to eat in India, which had some meaning that they'd attached to my little brother. And they were so evil. I could never get away from them because I always had to be worried about the safety of my little brother. And they bind the family system up in a way where you can't breathe and you can't move. And I think Rebecca would often mention about wanting to be more free as a couple. But I was indoctrinated with certain beliefs about my duties and my family, and they'd organised the flat for me, and certain furniture that was in there that belonged to the child rapist James Smirk and murderer, satanic paedophile who Humberside Police protected with a community resolution order. So they had this satanic structure in place for me, and as much as Rebecca tried to persuade me to be more open or to create more freedom, more safety for us, I was always trapped. So I think one of the expressions in the Porridge sitcom that I was listening to was way. A long way. A long way. Leaving university to go to Wilton Street could be considered a long way when walking. It's possibly an hour, and yeah, I've been filming for 32 minutes, so it's possibly could be considered 45 minutes to an hour's walk. It's a long way. But when you're in the network, and God willing, I write my book, I will use intuition and faith to merge some sort of fiction with fact, because so much is missing because of the satanicness of it. Like a fiction element will be really useful because I understand how they think and how they work. So any fiction that I create or anything that I can't say is fact, I believe will be honoured as per my lived experience and disease-ridden feeling of what satanic ritual abuse and child sex trafficking is. So back to the example, walking home from university to Wilton Street, I've had some nuts, is a long way. 3 words. A, long, L-O-N-G, way, W-A-Y. To the best of my experience and understanding of satanic ritual abuse and mind control from these evil paedophilic monsters who have been converted through torture and fear, that would be changed. The people who own me, who are making me perform satanic menstrual sexual acts on them, or anally raping me, or trying to kill me, they want to convert me into a paedophile, or they want to kill me, it won't be a long way home. It will be a long way. W-E-I-G-H, way. It weighs you down. It weighs you down. The heaviness and the pain and the torture and the abuse and the mind control, it weighs you down. So you could be on the phone to one of your abusers. I wouldn't be at university in this example because I was conditioned that university was bad for you. I had to sort of make an oath, more or less, that I would never go to university. It just teaches you to get in debt, and it would be too much for my incapable mind. However, in this example, It's a long way home. Not W-A-Y, it's W-E-I-G-H. So if you're watching this video, perhaps this knowledge weighs you down. Well, this is my lived experience. And when you're part of these networks, you're trying to escape these networks, and you're still a victim, you haven't been converted into a perpetrator. It's horrible to have terms in conversation you don't really notice, which is another satanic injury, how they make you block out all of the evil trauma. But so many terminologies to keep you trapped in the heaviness and the pain. And obviously I've mentioned about it's repressed, but I'm confident I was forced to give my mum menstrual oral sex. And it's powerful for me to own this satanic form of abuse. But I think another thing she used to say on the phone is, "You'll sort it out for me while I'm on, won't you, love?" And you don't even know, you don't even realise what they're saying to you. They're essentially saying, you are a piece of shit. You are a disgusting, dirty, disease-ridden piece of shit. And I can do with you whatever I want to do. You are nothing. And the more I make you believe that you are nothing and abuse you, the more relief that gives me from my own trauma. So I'll occasionally be kind to you, but within all of this kindness is an underlying message. Go and fuck yourself, you disgusting, dirty, disease-ridden, rotten piece of shit. The world would be a better place without you. You have limited options, which are go and kill yourself, or you take a child's innocence, you become one of us in Lucifer-Satanville, and then we can all love each other again. L-U-V. Because as long as nobody's any the wiser, you'll be all right. You just take from people, harm people, steal innocence. It's fucking horrible, disgusting, evil trauma. My favourite episode of the Aneka Lucas podcast, which I've been listening to before I started recording this video, is with guest Kaya John, American lady, if I'm not mistaken. Another mind-controlling expression. Goes on forever, doesn't it, Liam? And I think she was forced. Well, yeah, she's an American lady, and she was forced to eat. I think she was forced to kill 2 of her children, and I think she was forced to eat parts of at least one of the children. She went through fucking horrendous, disgusting torture and hell, and she's such a beautiful soul. So I'm hoping this week, because now, you see, it's all a binding. All the language is a binding. They keep you trapped in your own language. They keep you trapped at school in your terminologies. They're very clever. That they can make sure that you're never going anywhere in all of your talking, in all of your communicating with others, in all of your writing. They're very clever. They have terminologies which leave you trapped. They leave you closed. They leave you restricted. So it's almost midnight. It's Monday the 28th of July. So I'm hoping this week things will settle down and simmer down. and I can hand my laptop back, because once my work's done, I think I'd rather hand my laptop back sooner rather than later and finish my workbook and close this door on the preparation week as new doors are open for I think there's an introduction day and then I start in September. I have one page left in my art book. I've also bought another art book, a sketchbook. On the back of this page is a list of things I'd like for this year to improve my life, which I'll perhaps share in the future. But on the front of the page, I'd like to create a final piece of art, possibly draw part of one of the buildings of Hull College. So it'll be nice to create a piece of art, probably this week in my sketchbook. Probablys and possiblys and almosts and justs. They're all part of the network's manipulation and keep you in trapped language, which may seem like nothing to a person who's just taking in this information. But when you're trapped in the poison of it your whole life, it's everything. Thanks for listening. Preparation week officially completed. The Sunday has finished. The assignments have been handed in. The deadlines are closed. So this week now should be a settled week. Perhaps there'll be some communication from the tutors where they leave some openings to help us go back to assignments or to make sure we get the grades. But this is certainly a milestone of making it to the Sunday and handing in my major projects. And now I'm on Monday, start of a new week. Thank you. Goodbye.